Welcome back to The Funny Thing Is. I'm your host, Nicole Birch, where every week we bring you someone who shares a life-changing event, the medicine they took to get better, and the funniest lesson they learned along the way. Today, I have a very special guest from you. He's a hilarious comedian, and you know him from America's Got Talent, Ryan Niemiller. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I made it. That was...
you did.
You know I like you if I made that drive.
I know,
here.
from Temecula. It's so far.
On an early morning, too.
I know. I kept trying to make it later in the day. So
well, I do appreciate that. It wasn't late enough. My wife was very surprised that she had to take our son to to daycare. She was like, oh, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go then.
Let's
I gotta get moving.
Now, how old is he?
He's 2. He just turned 2.
Is he your only?
He's our only,
okay.
and will be only.
Yeah, I've got an only 5.5. So yeah,
it's one of those things that like I came from. You know, I have 3 siblings. My wife has 3 siblings.
Yeah,
we sort of wanted that, but number one, they're very expensive.
Very expensive.
Who knew?
Oh my gosh.
And
childcare alone.
Yeah, he won't get a job either, which is a very, very lazy child. I'll tell you that already. And then secondly, we're not old in the grand scheme of people.
Right.
But we're old to be first-time parents.
Oh, I feel that.
I'm 43. My wife is...
Yeah. We don't say. Yeah, I had mine at 37. And then... but I got married at, not to her dad, but I got married at 42. And so I'm like, oh, I don't know. So my knees already hurt, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. I do feel there's, I have a philosophy on children that, because I'm from the Midwest originally. I came from Indiana.
Oh, I'm Kansas City. Yeah.
Okay, so you get it. There, you know, a lot of times if you're not married by 21 and having kids,
it's weird.
You're gay is how people treat you. You know, like something's wrong with this dude. Why isn't he doing that yet? And think back to when you were, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
To a person, we're all stupid.
Yeah.
You just don't have the life experience
I
yet.
would not have picked anybody healthy.
Right. But you're physically, you can take care of a kid. You can work on half-hour of sleep and still exist and do whatever.
Yeah.
I'm 43 now. I feel I've done the work. I've done all the therapy. I've done all the... Mentally, I am ready to be a good dad. My knees hurt. My back hurt.
And that sleep deprivation, ooh, that hit different. I knew I'd be tired, but I thought I'd be tired in the way like, I had to take a bunch of no-dos to study for a final and I just haven't slept right for 3 days. No, this is why it's a torture tactic in the military. Yeah. Like this is a different level.
And it's totally different too. Cause I thought I would be okay with it because, I'm a scumbag comedian. I'm up all night and then, I got a 7 a.m. flight. And so I had shows the night before.
Yeah.
You're tired and you power through.
We don't run on well sleep anyway. Yeah.
But I'm like, I got this. A kid that you have to keep alive when he's desperately trying not to be is a whole different type of energy.
Constantly trying to kill themselves, constantly. What is a life-changing event you want to share?
So I wanted to actually talk about how my wife and I got together.
Okay.
So we've been married 3 years now.
Okay.
But we actually dated back in college.
Oh my gosh.
So that would have been 05, 06.
Okay.
Around that time. I went to Indiana State, so I was out there. My wife went to Loyola Marymount, which is here in LA.
Right.
We actually met. This will date us completely because this doesn't even exist excuse me. This doesn't even exist anymore. But we met on AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the kind of show we're going in a very nerdy way.
Okay.
So my wife, she just had her computer open. One of her roommate's boyfriends had found me on a pro wrestling simulator forum that I used to be very active on.
Good gracious. Okay.
Very deep down the nerd. We were talking about pro wrestling before we started recording.
Right.
Very deep down the nerd hole.
Well, because a lot of your tag names are Cripple Threat.
Cripple Threat, yes.
Which is fucking brilliant.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's the greatest thing that I've ever come up with. My comedy can't compete.
It's amazing. So I think you were saying earlier that it tied into the wrestling thing.
Yes. So I always knew I wanted to be a performer, but I thought it was going to be pro wrestler. And I trained for about 3 months to do it, and my back couldn't take it. It was just too much. But I liked the name.
The amount that they're getting slammed and just...
There is always... This is going to be my small soapbox on this. Mm-hmm. There's always this misconception that it's fake, and it's not fake, it's scripted. Those are two different things.
Right.
Because, it's not a trampoline. They're not like pillow fighting and hitting each other. Yeah. They're beating the hell out of each other. It's just they know what the story is and where it's going. But they're still beating the trash out of each other.
Yeah, that's so real blood.
Yeah, so this is much easier. I think. Maybe not for my my emotions and my soul, but my body can handle this a lot better.
Got it.
But I used to be active on a couple of forums for like, we basically would write our own imaginary wrestling promotions.
Right.
The fact that any woman ever let me see her naked is a shock after that. But one of her roommate's boyfriends found me on there and wanted to remember my screen name. So he just saw that my like now wife's computer was open, added the screen name on there real fast to get it later, and then never told her.
Shut up.
So one day she just kind of opened it up and she's like,
Who's this?
Who the fuck is this guy? And that was, I don't know if that was the exact wording, but that's basically what the message was.
What are the chances?
Yeah, just such a small thing. And I was like, I don't know who you are. Like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of got chatting and connected, and we dated for a couple years. This would have been our early 20s.
Right.
Most of it was long distance. Neither of us was really emotionally, we talked about it with the parenthood. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
There. She still had some issues with, her mom, who I love now.
Yeah.
But at the time was very much like, because I was getting a theater degree. I was going to start stand up. I was working at like Target and Starbucks and those type of jobs.
Yeah, parents I don't know.
How is he going to support a family?
Yeah.
How is this going to happen? Plus, I had the disability, which is different. And it's like,
right.
Why would you be with someone like that when you could be with
somebody else? Yeah.
So it just didn't work out. We sort of butt heads a lot. Like, it was very, she didn't tell anybody about me for a long time because she was concerned about the disability and how they'd react. Just stuff that when you're young, it's, it doesn't feel like a big deal.
You need some maturity
now,
behind you.
But at the time, yes. So we ended up breaking up. It was not the most pleasant of breakups that anyone's ever had in the world. We sort of we tried to stay in touch because we were very close. Like we were. That's the one benefit of a long distance relationship. You have nothing to do
except communicate,
but talk, and talk.
My husband and I were long distance for like almost a year. Yeah,
you can mask having nothing in common with somebody for years.
Yeah,
if you just we just go out to dinner and we watch movies and we
free, especially if you're just watching TV.
Yeah, you don't have to ever share an intimate thought ever. And like, it's a very happy relationship. We've been together 30 years. I just found out his middle name. You can do that.
I just learned he likes pizza. And you're like, what? Yeah, absolutely.
But with long distance, like, you have nothing but time to talk.
Honestly, that's so true. Yeah.
And so we tried to kind of be friends. It didn't really work. She married somebody else who was kind of, on paper at the time was the safer choice. He had a better job. He had, like all this kind of stuff. He could support a family if he,
right.
I won't throw him under the bus because there's various other things.
Right.
But that's her story to tell, not mine.
Right.
So during that time, I'm kind of fast forwarding through a lot of this so you can interject at any time.
Go ahead.
So I didn't handle it well. Like I own up to my part of the situation as well.
Right.
I wasn't the best version of me either.
Right.
A lot of depression, hadn't fully come to terms with all the stuff that comes with having a disability.
Right.
Getting into comedy, which is not exactly the best for your self-esteem.
Nope.
You don't do this because you have your shit together.
Right.
You get into it.
Right. We're airing all of our grievances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I had to put in a lot of work that I'm still putting in now. That doesn't just, you're never cured from depression.
Yeah,
I think that's like a misnomer that people have about it. You're never just like, I'm good now.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
I solved it. I solved the problem.
Exactly. You're always working on it. But during that time, I put in that legwork and I, tried to build the career. I thought that would be, the thing that would level the playing ground for me, that I could.
Now at this point, like where are we age wise? She's married.
So she's married. She
work.
got married relatively. It wasn't like a shotgun wedding type of situation, but relatively quick. So probably like 26, 27, like in that ballpark.
Got it.
So I had moved back to Indiana
Mm-hmm.
because I don't like LA. I like working in LA.
Yeah.
But my hometown is 3,000 people. It's a small farming town.
Yeah, this is culture shock.
Exactly.
Totally.
It's just a lot and just trying to find parking and just busy. I mean, even trying to get here today was it's part of the deal.
Yeah.
But it's just,
I just drove in from Joshua Tree this morning and I was like, it should only take 2.5 hours. And all my friends were like, you need to leave at 5:30 because when you get to LA, And that's exactly what
That's when the
happened.
problem, you get cocky in your head.
You're like,
this is
I'm
going
cruising.
great.
I'm cruising, bud.
Yep.
And then it's like 7 miles left, 42 minutes. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh,
That was
why
the
do I live
situation.
here? Yeah.
Yep. You know, I went back to Indiana and basically became a road dog.
Okay.
You know, that was
Yeah.
the situation I did. LA was where I started comedy, but for what I wanted to do, like, you know, hindsight's always 2020.
Right.
But I feel that, you know, I wanted to be someone who worked the road and got to headline
Yeah.
People usually start in LA to try to get a TV spot. You know, this it's a showcase town.
Right.
It just is.
Right.
And I would kept going to the Inland Empire and like all that because like they would give me 20, 30 minutes well before I needed it.
Yeah.
So the Midwest was perfect for that.
Yeah. This is, by the way, this was also my theory also, is because I didn't, it felt like trying to explain to people, because we're getting ready to move back to Kansas City. Okay. And so, which I don't know if I'm going to air that, but because it's like, do you tell people? Do you not tell people?
Right.
But, well, because now you can work from anywhere. Like that's kind of the thing. But everybody is so surprised that we don't make money in LA.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you don't make money at the store. You don't make money at the Laugh Factory. You don't make, like, that's not, what are you guys thinking? And it's like, I make more money in like Lansing, Michigan.
100%.
And people don't understand that.
And it's hard to explain because they've all heard of the Comedy Store. They know Mitzi and Pauly Shore.
Yeah.
Like they've seen all these clips. They know all this type of stuff. And you just don't make the money.
Yeah.
And my brain, like I don't want to make this sound like I'm unappreciative when I get to go hang out at the store or do spots at places.
No.
But that was never my like dream. For some people, that's like the Mecca. They're like, I can't believe I'm in the hollowed halls.
Yeah.
And for me, it's
I've got my name on the chalkboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's for me, it was just like I want to get paid.
Yeah.
And you're right. You make more in Owensboro, Kentucky by 100
by a
count.
lot.
Yeah,
by
not
a
even
lot.
close.
Yeah.
Than you do, you know, hitting all these spots, you know.
Yeah. I remember one of my friends, he was like, I think he did really well on Last Comic Standing and stuff. And he was like, oh, my name's on the wall at the store. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So what do you get paid to? And he's like, $20 in a parking spot. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll hang out in Michigan a little bit longer.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. The shitty one-nighters I was doing in the middle of like Illinois and Indiana.
Yeah.
Pay $100.
Yeah.
When I was coming up before I was even anything, you know, it's just it's and there's different perspectives. For some people, it's, you know,
it's the other way around, which I still don't.
They want to, you know, because the flip side is it's a little different now with how the internet works and social media, but like it's hard to get discovered if you're doing, you know, VFWs
exactly
in the middle of the Midwest or the South, you know.
Yeah.
Here you can have a great set and some producer happens to be in the audience and then something can happen. So that's the trade-off.
Right.
So, you know, I was just kind of busting my ass trying to do all those one-nighters, you know, the starving artist thing, sleeping in my car because they don't get paid enough for a hotel kind of thing. And, you know, still tried to keep in touch, but like it wasn't always easy. We'd have our fallouts and all that. And kind of just as I was kind of getting better mentally, her marriage, this was unrelated to me, just was running its course. Because I think she was always my one that got away. I sort of knew that initially. I think for her, she knew it too, but it was sort of like a deep down kind of. Yeah,
it took a little bit longer to get to it. This is what you're
supposed to do. I'm supposed to do this and all that. And it timed out really well for me because when, you know, she still lived out here, I was still living in Indianapolis when I got America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
And
that was in 2019. Okay.
Yes. 2019, season 14.
But hilarious, dude. Your clips are so good.
Thank
Your
you.
set was so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was ready for it. Like that's part of the
being able to, and going on the road. Like you're ready for that shit.
Because I've have friends who have done that show who, when they got it, because AGT, I think a lot of people misunderstand, is not like a strict talent show.
Yeah.
It's a personality show.
Right.
So they want acts that are very good, but they don't care if you've quote unquote earned your spot.
Oh, they don't care at all. It's all
so
show,
some people have, you know, done comedy. They're a year and a half into comedy.
Yeah.
And they get that opportunity because they have something very unique or marketable. And if you do well on the show, you become like an instant headliner. You get to work for a while.
Right.
And they wouldn't be ready because they've only been doing comedy a year and a
Right.
half.
Exactly.
You know, I was 12 years in, which is still a baby.
Well, it's
in the
also
grand
like
scheme.
crowd work comics too.
Yes.
Like I think there's some when they first started coming up and that was all the social media, the rave. And I was like, oh my God, they're very good. They're very quick on their feet. Oh my God, I love it. And then what the clubs are now witnessing is like, well, they don't actually have a set. And so I feel bad because I'm like, here they've been given this up, but we've learned early in our career, you have to be ready for opportunities.
Right.
And when they get those, it's like, I feel so bad because it's like, oh, they haven't.
And the issue is like I'm never mad at them either.
Oh, I'm not at all.
Like,
I feel bad
a
for
lot
them.
of comedians are like these TikTok comedy, and it's like, are you going to turn down
It's just a different
the work?
It's just a different vehicle to get into the same place. It's just a different style.
And they also they just, you don't know until you know.
Right.
I mean, I had this problem like because when you first start, like I was very good for a first year comic. I'm not going to say I was a good comic in the grand scheme, but I was very good for that experience level.
Yeah.
And your brain gets ahead of your skill.
Yeah.
You're like, well, why am I not featuring? I should be doing these 30-minute sets. I'm crushing these 5-minute sets.
Yeah.
I'm so good.
And then you get your first 30 and you're like, oh my God, this is the longest I've been on stage in my life.
And it's so different. And like you start to bomb for the. So it's like there's levels to this. And I'm sure when they're like, oh, I got 1 million followers on TikTok, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then you have to do an hour and you're like, oh no, this is different.
Yeah.
But I was ready.
Yeah.
You know, because I had 12, 13 years under my belt.
And by the way, seemed ready.
Yeah.
I've had some other friends that have gotten in. They're like maybe at the 5-year mark. So like the first show would go really well. And then the second show, if they got to a second show, rough.
Yeah, it can be very intimidating for that too.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same, but it's, you know, in music, they always talk about like the sophomore slump. You have your whole life to write that first album, and then
you got 9 months to write the second one. Yeah. And like your sets both were just like, I saw 2, right?
I ended up doing 7 if you count Champions. I did 7 total sets.
Wait, then maybe I've just seen them clipped up then.
Probably.
Okay, that's why okay.
Yeah. So, because when I was on AGT, the format was still 5 rounds if you didn't get a golden buzzer.
Shit.
So, you know, it's audition, judge cuts, quarters,
you
semis.
crushed that because everybody I know has only gotten at max 2.
Yeah, so it's 2, and now even if you do well, it's 3. They've just pandemic made the thing weird,
tighter or something.
And for me, it worked out great,
dude. That's amazing.
Because like for me, I was like more stage time, like more TV time,
more exposure.
I'm gonna be in front of people because I think, like I said earlier, it's a personality show.
Yeah.
So if they just wanted comedians that can be funny for 90 seconds, there's a billion of us that can just on paper do that.
Right.
But it's selling yourself.
Right.
And for me, getting all those extra rounds and I was volunteering to be in everyone else's shots.
Yeah.
Because they do these things where it's like they want you to like, oh, you're sitting backstage and you're
have
talking to the acts and doing that. So I'd be like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you can't cut me from this show. My face is going to be everywhere. And I was able to get extra material in that way, basically, you know, because they would want me to help, you know, because a lot of times too, if it could be kids or it could be someone from a different country or just someone who's, you know, a juggler doesn't necessarily need to be a good talker.
Right.
A singer doesn't need to be a good talker.
Yeah.
They just have that skill. So, but they have to get these sound bites and these things from it. Yeah. So like they would ask me a lot of times to,
you're perfect.
Hey, get them. And I would get something in for me too.
Yeah.
I would get them what they wanted, but also I said this funny quip. I said this line.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was so ready. I tried for 5 years before they said yes. So like I kept like at it.
Yes, dude.
And it timed out really well with my wife's divorce.
Okay.
I don't want to say that I'm happy about, you know, but like for me, it worked out well.
Yeah.
Because it was right. Like that was starting to happen right when AGT was filming for me. So I invited her to come to the audition taping. So if you go back and watch the clip, she's sitting next to my mom. We weren't together at the time, but she's sitting right next to my mom.
Oh my God.
And I think it still would have had a happy ending regardless, but fuck, am I glad I didn't bomb. It would have been such a harder sell. Like, so you just watched me get embarrassed in front of about 15 million people.
Was it the first one you were doing?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She ended up coming to all of them. Like, you know, she kept going through.
Of course. Yeah, I'm not leaving. I'd be like, I'm not leaving.
But that first one, that was the first time I saw her in person in a decade.
Oh my God.
Was that night. And it's like the biggest night of my life career-wise, you know? Like
Holy
it's like such
shit.
this big opportunity. So like in the back of my head, I'm like, you know, my one that got away, the love of my life
Yeah.
is in the audience
Yeah.
right next to my mom. I'm also in front of, you know, you got to make the 4 judges laugh. Like
Right.
that's what that show is. You
Right.
know, getting a good reaction is great, but if Simon hates you,
It's
people will
fucked.
go, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I guess he did suck because Simon knows everything about everything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
that's the thought process.
Right.
You know, I'm hanging out with Terry Crews, who's like the coolest dude in the
Is
world.
he?
Oh, he's the best.
I would be devastated if I found out otherwise.
No, he is the like anything you can imagine about him is
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah.
Like he's such a nice dude. Like I'm not gonna claim we're best friends now, but we, you know, he'll still like my Instagram posts
my
and stuff like that.
God. Now, which 4 judges did you have? Simon?
So mine was the weird season that had Simon Howie,
Mhm.
and then it had Julianne Hough and
Mhm.
Gabrielle Union. So it was their
Oh.
only season that those 2 were in
Yeah,
there.
okay.
So that's why I was able to kind of be so calm, I guess,
Yeah.
because those 2 were wild cards. I didn't know what they like or didn't like.
Yeah.
So they were kind of, you know, I wanted them to like me, obviously, but they're a non-factor.
Right.
Simon, I love him, but he knows shit about comedy.
Right.
He's looking
But you
for
got
one
Howie.
direction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and then Howie was the one I was concerned about.
Yeah.
Because if he said I sucked, he's probably right. Like
Yeah.
he knows what
Yeah.
he's doing.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of able to go up there and just, all right, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my set and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think that confidence really shone through
You
too.
had the confidence. Like you seem so grounded. And again, 12 years, like you can feel the difference.
Yeah, like some people would always like talk like, were you nervous about the set? And like I was more nervous about what happened after.
Yeah.
Because when you make your whole personality, you know, based on spite, like, oh, you're not going to give me these opportunities. Well, I'm going to show you motherfuckers.
Right.
And then you finally get that opportunity. It's like,
You got to show up.
now what do I
God.
do? Now what do I do?
Show up.
The whole thing was that no one wanted to give a handicapped guy a chance.
Yeah.
And now they did.
And they give me the biggest stage in the world.
Shit. But like, man, I mean, you know this. You've done so much road work and all that too.
Yeah.
Being on the AGT stage in front of 4,000 people who are they don't want you to fail. You know,
It's the warmest room. Ugh.
doing a dive bar in the middle of Iowa for 3 drunks who don't know it's comedy night. That's fucking hard. Or they won't turn the TVs off and they won't that's
I've done
brutal.
that. Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being in front of TV where they want to love you.
And they love you.
Oh,
Ugh.
that's your reward.
Yeah.
For powering through all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So I did well.
Yeah.
My now wife and I, we kind of just kept talking, and I think she sort of realized that spark was still there. And I always think it's important to mention, like, this wasn't oh, he's getting famous now, so now
Right.
you know, she knew my struggle of, you know, the suicide attempt that I had, and like all this like work that I did to get. She basically got to see the end result of all of this work I did. It wasn't he's still a miserable piece of shit, but now he's got money, so it's okay.
Yeah.
It was, he has done all of this and he's finally in a good place.
When was the suicide attempt? When you guys were first dating?
No, it would have been, it was in between when we were
okay.
broken
Got
up.
it. Got
was
it.
in there. It was
okay.
I never want to poke fun at a suicide attempt, but it was
Right.
kind of, I just took a bunch of ibuprofen. It was
Yeah.
it was definitely one of those cliche like
Got it.
like
Got it.
hey, I'm gonna do this, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, I probably wasn't serious, but it's I mean,
But it's still
trying to
very
get that
serious.
attention is still serious.
Yeah.
That's still something that's not right in
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely.
So like, you know, she knew all the work that I did
and got to see this like come to
and
fruition.
this was kind of the
Ugh.
end of all that. Like, because if I would have, you know, I told you I tried for 5 years. Had they let me audition the first time, I would have blown it. I
Yeah.
wasn't ready emotionally. I couldn't
Right.
handle like knowing what happened after.
Right.
With like, now you're headlining clubs and you're touring and your name is
Yeah.
selling tickets and all that.
Yeah.
I would have never handled that well.
Right.
I would have crashed and burned.
Right.
So her getting to see that, I think was kind of like, it solidified for her, like, yeah, I love this guy. This
Yeah.
is the
My
story that it should
God.
be. So
I love this.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was what, 6 years ago?
that was 6 years ago at this point.
Okay. And so you guys immediately started dating because you said you've been married 3 years. Okay.
As we started dating as immediately as was appropriate during that time, because she still wasn't technically divorced.
Oh, got it.
But
Yeah.
that ball was rolling before I even asked her to come.
Right. So
to
that
the
had to
thing.
happen. Okay.
So our original goal was so because she moved out and got her own place.
Mhm.
I was still living with my brother, who's my best friend, back in Indianapolis,
Yeah.
and I was just going to be on the road so much that we kind of decided because one of the nice things about having dated before and knowing each other so well, you can kind of fast forward a lot of the. So, do you want to go to Panera Bread?
Yeah.
Do you want to? We kind of already knew that, like, yeah, well, this is
Yeah.
probably going to work.
Right.
But the plan was I still had she had a year of her lease basically through the end of 2020. I was on month to month. So I'm like, I'm
Right.
just basically leaving my stuff here. I have a busy schedule.
Yeah.
As soon as your lease is over, I will move to California
Right.
and then the pandemic happened. March
Yeah.
2020, which
Yeah.
I try not to complain too much about it
Mhm.
because I have my health. People
Right.
literally died. So I don't want to be like, I have it so terrible.
Right.
Career-wise, could not have hit at a worse time.
Oh, fuck me. That's right.
So yeah,
Literally right after AGT. So like all your momentum.
yeah.
Fuck.
So AGT, usually it's not quite the same now because just the format has changed.
Right.
But back then, if you do well on the show, you get basically 2 years of being pretty hot
Yeah.
without having to do anything else.
Oh, God
You
bless.
just have to
Oh,
exist.
God bless.
You
Yeah.
just did well on the show. People, because AGT fans are loyal. It's not like comedy fans where
Yeah.
they're a little fickle
Dip in and
sometimes.
out.
If they loved you on that, they'll go out and find you. I got 6
Oh.
months
Ah.
before the world shut down.
Shit.
And life's still way better than it was before career-wise.
Right.
So I try not to complain too much, but it sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number because you know how bonus works and all that kind
Right.
of stuff, but I probably lost mid 6 figures
That's what I
of
was
money
gonna say.
on that,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
well, that's
Oh,
good.
it's so much.
But it did solidify that I knew my wife and I were supposed to be together because we moved in.
Right.
This is like May 2020. So I'm
Right.
like, well, I'm not gonna have this time.
Right.
And when we had to move in together and share like a 900 square foot apartment that legally we weren't allowed to leave. And we didn't murder each other. For me, that was like, yeah,
She's my person.
this is gonna work.
She's my
Yeah,
person.
So
Yeah.
then we got married just in her mom's backyard a couple of years later.
Yeah.
Just for, I don't want to make it sound unromantic, but it was more get me on her health insurance. Cause it was
Yeah.
gonna, we were
Right.
together, but it
Yeah.
was okay, we need to get you officially in the paperwork now.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, so it's been 3 years, almost 4 years now.
And a kid later.
Yep. Yeah, and a tiny human.
He's so beautiful.
He's the best.
Oh my
I love him. He's a little shit, but I love him.
Oh, I love him.
He's mean.
He's mean.
Oh, I love it though. He's a little cult leader. That's what we call him.
Stop.
So he's the youngest kid in his daycare,
Okay.
but he runs that show.
Oh, God bless.
It's so fascinating to watch. Like when we kind of show up to pick him up, all the other kids are just doing what he started doing. Like he's just the kid that figures out how to, it's good and bad. He's very independent and he's going to be a leader, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you're scared me a little bit.
Right. Well, I always say this with my daughter. She's either going to be the CEO of a Forbes 500 company or she's going to run a cartel. There's no in between.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
Why not both?
Why not both?
A lot of people do that.
Let's double dip.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's the, he's the best thing that I don't want to sound too cliche, but he's awesome. He's the coolest thing. And, I always wanted to be a dad. That's kind of the biggest thing I always wanted to do. And I thought that wasn't going to happen. You start to get older and you're just like, well, my life is still cool, but this door is closed. And, we tried and it took a little bit because we're, women have it so rough with this.
Yeah.
Where, because she was over 35 when we had it. And
the geriatric pregnancy.
Yeah, which is the most condescending shit.
I hate it so much.
Just call it old bitch baby.
Yeah.
Why? That's just the meanest thing in the world. Be like, oh, you're going to kill your kid because you're old.
This is going to go bad for you.
It's like, Jesus. So it was very stressful. And we kind of had to do a little bit extra stuff to kind of get there. But man, life is so cool now because of that. He's the best. He's just, he's a little shit. He's so independent.
Oh, so here's my question. I always ask this with the parents that are comics, or comics that are parents. Do you ever talk about him in your set?
100%.
Do you make fun of him?
I make fun of him in a way where he's the hero. if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah, no,
So
yeah.
you know, kind of like I'm joking now. I'll tell people that my son's an asshole.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing that he
He
does.
does. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like for instance, you know, because he doesn't have my disability.
Yeah.
And I joke that he's cocky about it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, because this is true. Anytime that I need him to hand me something, he always tries to put it in this hand,
Right.
which doesn't have my grabber. This is the
Right.
grabber.
Right.
This one points and pokes. That's all he does.
Yeah.
But he'll try to put things in this hand, and then it will fall to the ground, and then he'll look up at me and go, "Uh-oh!" And I'm like, "You can't tell me that little dick doesn't know what he's doing." So,
Oh my God.
so that's the way I make fun. It's the same way I make fun of my wife.
Yeah.
It's in a way where I'm actually the idiot.
Yeah. The self-deprecating.
Yeah,
I do the
exactly.
same
Where
thing.
it's like,
yeah.
my son's being a little piece of shit.
Yeah.
And here's the way he made me look stupid. You know,
Yeah.
it's that kind of stuff.
I do the same thing. I like, especially in the 80s and 90s, I feel like there are so many comics that are like, my dumb fucking kid, such a stupid piece of, and I'm like, I just can't do that.
I never understood. I mean, and same thing too.
Also, they're going to watch it.
Yeah, 100%. So I want him to be the hero. I want it to think it's like cool
Same.
and funny that he's a part of it. And the same thing with my wife. Like, I know there's some comics, if you ask them, they're like, well, my art should never have any filters and I can say what I want. I also want my wife to love me.
Yeah.
And not,
I also want to stay married.
Exactly. You know, so like I'll run any joke that I think about her.
Same.
Across for her.
Yeah.
And she's never been like, oh, no, you can't do that.
I also think we wouldn't have married somebody that would be, oh,
Right.
you can't. They know we're comedians.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she knows that it's coming from love. She's always the hero
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, because like I talk about, you know, a little bit about like how quote unquote terrible the childbirth was for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's stuff like that. But it's clearly making the point that like she went through the real
worst,
shit. And
yeah.
we're the dummies that just sit there, oh, you need ice?
Yeah.
What do you need? You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, like I never understood like that trope in comedy where it's like usually middle-aged white dudes
Yeah.
who would just be like, my wife's a bitch.
Yeah.
Then fucking leave her.
Yeah.
What do you, if she's that terrible,
This sounds
fucking
awful.
go
Yeah.
be single. That being single sounds amazing if your wife's that terrible.
Yeah.
Like why are you still with I never just understood that like mentality
Yeah.
of like, my wife's my best friend. Like why would I
Yeah.
if she annoyed me or I hated her, I would go be single.
yeah.
Like why would you worry about it?
Yeah, I did a special in my last special. I talked about how I met my husband,
Mhm.
and he's a bit younger than me, but he doesn't look it. He looks older, and so I like would talk about it. And there was a friend of mine that somebody said, "Oh, he's been talking shit on your special," and I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, he just thinks that you were really hard on Matt because we weren't married yet." And he goes, "He thinks that you were really hard on Matt." And that he feels bad for Matt because you just kept going. I go, what lines? And he's like, oh, the part that, you know, he's like 5'9" ginger with a dad bod. And I was like, who do you think wrote that? Matt wrote that.
Yeah.
Like Matt was the one who was like, just talk about how I don't look like I'm 27. Like he looked 40. And so it was just like, we were talking about that. And I was like, oh yeah. I go, Matt, I would always check stuff like that with him. And I don't feel that that's filtering my comedy in any way. I'll say stuff and I'll be like, you know, he's got hemorrhoids and hip issues. And Matt's like, that's hilarious. That's great. You know,
it's good alliteration.
It's good alliteration.
Always funny.
He goes, alliteration. I don't care if it's true or not. It's funny.
Yeah,
you know?
but that's the thing. Like I respect and I do that with anything. If I make
Yeah.
fun of my mom, I make sure that
Yeah.
like, and my mom is like the cutest woman ever. She like wants me to go further. She's like, just make shit up. I don't care.
Keep going. That's how my mom is.
Tell
too.
them I'm racist.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mom,
Yeah,
like,
Mom,
no, you don't need
no.
to do that.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, but I should say, like, after the 5'9" ginger going bald, like the immediate follow-up statement I say is, and I've never been more turned on by anyone in my fucking life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like I give the sting, but then I'm like, but I have to talk about how bad my dating life was leading up to that, and that he's still the person I'm the most attracted to in my life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like nuance and subtlety gets lost in. And I'm not even a comic who rails against cancel culture because I think cancel culture is a made up problem in comedy.
Yeah.
Think of every comic that's ever been canceled.
Yeah.
I would die to have their calender.
Yeah.
You know,
They're still working.
Like, what are you talking about?
They're still working.
A lot of comedians just, they misconnect cancellation with criticism.
Right.
They think like, oh, nobody can say something bad about a joke or they're trying to cancel me.
Right.
No, want you to still work.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just said a shitty thing.
Yeah.
And I want to be held accountable too. If I accidentally say a shitty thing, I want
Give
to
me
be able to
feedback.
look and go, okay, like then I want to be able to honestly go, okay, did I mess that up? Was that something? Or are
Yeah.
they maybe overreacting a little bit?
Right.
But it's not cancellation.
No. I
And
love that. I love that, actually.
and just like the nuance gets lost with like even stuff like that where, like,
That's
oh,
so
you
true.
can't talk shit about your husband. Like he's clearly in on it.
Yeah.
My wife's in on it.
Yeah.
My son will be in on it. If my son, when he's, obviously he's 2, he can't really make those kind of decisions yet.
Right.
But if he comes up to me and says, I don't want you to talk about me on
Done.
stage anymore,
Done.
that's the last that'll ever happen.
Yeah.
Because I
Same.
love my son. Like,
Yeah.
as much as I love comedy, I don't need it the same way that I think a lot of people's souls need it.
Yeah.
And that's like an unpopular thing to say for some reason, because you're supposed to be this never give up and
Disgruntled.
fight and just
Yeah.
like you never. And it's like I love comedy
Right.
so much. It
Right.
has leveled the playing field for me. It is why I have everything I have.
Yeah.
But if something happens where my family needs me to become an accountant instead, instant decision. That's
Done.
like not even question. Like some people need the stage to like fill their like,
oh my
or
God.
they will
You
die.
and I have so much in common. I'm
Yeah.
literally like just wanting an easier life for my family. And so that's why we're moving. And that's why I'm like, if I'm applying to ad agencies and stuff just to see what's out there, because I'm like, I don't know how much longer I can be on, and I don't want to do the 42 weeks because I've got her. So, and like,
my son is way cool. And perspective definitely changes. I don't want to, if somebody's like watching this and like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, like my son, like even like I have a show tonight. Like I don't know when you actually put this up, but like
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay. But like just in real time, I'm doing a show in LA tonight too.
Right.
So I don't get to see my son for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I'm heartbroken.
I know.
And it's like, it's such a weird perspective because before I had my son, I was always don't talk to me about your fucking kids. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
And now I'm the guy who's like, you want to see a picture of my son? He's the cutest kid in the world.
But he is also the cutest kid.
Oh, he is the best. He's a little Gerber baby. But I just like so like your perspective changes too.
Yeah.
Because when I first started comedy, I'll be on the road 52 weeks a year. I'll just live out of my car and I'll just, because that's the art. You got to chase it. Now I'm like, what can I do at home?
Yeah.
Can I Twitch stream? Can I work at an ad agency?
Yeah.
Can I
mean, there's also so many things where I'm like, if it's an earlier show that like we did San Diego, right? We did Mic Drop or something at San Diego. And I was like, yeah, you can come with me. And I was like, and like once I had her come on stage and tell a joke.
Okay.
Like what she had a little bit of a speech delay. So she was like, what's a pirate's favorite letter? And I forgot to tell the audience, look, whatever joke she's going to say, don't act like you know the answer. So like 8 drunk guys were like, oh, and I was like, but she didn't even hear him. And she just did it. And she like hold her hands out. Ta-da! And I'm like, girl, and she's got that bug too. It's already like, I'm already in so much trouble.
Yeah. I'm not going to encourage my son, but I won't discourage him either.
Same.
Because, I also know the bullshit about this job too. Like it's, again, you never want to complain too much because at the end of the day, I'm getting paid good money to talk about my dick.
Yeah.
It's not, we're not doing anything so strenuous, that I want to complain too much. But
yeah,
I mean, even just like comedy in 2025, we talked a little bit about it with the influencers who are doing it. The game has changed.
Yeah.
And I'm not
evolving.
I'm almost 19 years in, which is not nothing, but it's not like the craziest amount of time ever.
Right.
And even since I started, comedy, you used to be able to just like, you go to Kansas City.
Right.
And maybe 10 people show up.
Yeah.
But if you do really well, they'll go tell their friends and family. And
right.
the next time there'll be 30.
Right.
And then you can just build.
And you build and build and build.
Now, like places that I sold out last year, I'm getting messages that like, you're not selling tickets.
Dude, I know.
Because my social media, like part of it's economy. Like I don't want to discount that
Absolutely.
completely.
It's a huge thing.
But part of it is I decided I'd rather spend a year hanging out with my newborn son than really worrying about social media.
Yeah.
And the world forgets about it. Like things have just changed. It's like, you can be
so
mad or you can make
true.
money. So it's like, I got to figure it out. But like, comedy, it's just like there's so much like weird stuff to it now.
Yeah, there's so much evolution,
I
and
just I
it's
just I just want to tell my dick jokes. I don't want to learn
yeah.
how to edit or how to
Oh my
trick
god.
algorithms, but it's part of what you got to do.
I'm at that point right now where like I can call in favors for editing where
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, I can maybe there's a little bit of trade or I can like teach a class or something if you can edit kind of stuff. And then I'm like, it's getting to the point where I'm going to have to edit. And I'm like, or I just get the ad agency job. And
Yeah.
that's so crazy. I would have never said that before I had my daughter. I would never left LA. I'd be here forever.
Right.
But with her, again, like you said, perspective changes. And you're
Yeah.
like, she's my only. She's gonna be my
Yeah,
only.
exactly.
So it's like, I want her to have the best childhood
Yeah.
ever.
And I don't want to be gone all the
I
time.
know.
My dad was around, but my dad was a pretty hardcore alcoholic.
Yeah.
So like I loved my dad, but I didn't like him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And my older brother and I have had conversations about this. We don't remember. We have no memories, either of us, of our dad ever playing with us. Like sitting down and actually like trying to
playing.
play a video game or playing G.I. Joes or anything.
Oh, interesting.
Like no memories of that. Like he would take us to baseball games
Yeah.
sometime. Like there was little things like, and he worked hard and he had his demons. Like I don't want to
right.
But like,
But you want those memories for
I
your
don't
son.
want to be
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
because like everyone makes the joke, like wait till they're teenagers, they'll hate you. That's not the case.
Yeah.
That's not always the case.
No, I've had so many moms that have been coming forward now, especially like kids are aging differently.
Hmm.
So they're like, I go, she's a little hard on me right now. I'm like, how old is she? I was like, oh, she's 5.5. And you're like, you know what? A lot of us, because they have like teenagers now, like 18, 19-year-olds, they said that the kids were harder on them at 5, 6, and 7. And then they were lovely for their teenage years.
Right.
But that's also developmental. It's not,
Yeah.
I hate you because I'm going through puberty. It's just there's something different. And I think that, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll look back on this in 10 years and be like, they were all right. She hates me.
Yeah.
She went to go live with her dad. Like, I don't know what it's going to be like. But, and I could never assume, but I'm like, man, if I could just be there and show her like, so she sticks around.
Yeah.
in those
And
periods.
that's just way more important to me
Yeah.
than any of this other bullshit.
Same.
Like, and again, I love this bullshit.
I know.
That's where it's so tricky. And like you said, I would have never dreamed
Ever.
that like no woman's I'm never gonna like
I know.
change what my act for anybody, and I'm gonna be on the road and I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And it's just like no, like my perspective's so
different.
just different now.
Yeah.
And if you get an in an ad agency, hook your buddy
I will
up.
hook you up.
So,
I'll hook you up.
Because that's the thing too. Like I still want to be creative. I think that will never go away for us.
Right.
Where,
No,
where
it
our
won't.
brains are wired in a weird way.
Yeah.
But like,
But also at an ad agency, by the way, like with our comedy chops
yeah.
and like marketing ability. And like, I mean, you did 7 shows for AGT. All of that is just marketing campaigns. Every
Yep.
single set that you did is a marketing campaign.
Yep.
Every time you've done a special, if you've designed the poster, if you've like, when I sat down, I was like, oh, I'm so behind the ball. My friend sat with me and he's like, did you design your comedy special poster? He was like, yeah. And he goes, 1 or 2. I was like, 2. And then I did this play and I started showing him all this stuff. And he's like, congratulations, you're a copy editor. Like that's literally what you are.
Yeah, it's just like translating that to
To
McDonald's,
this, to
or whatever
McDonald's.
the
That's
thing is.
it.
Yeah, and it's like I just want to be home all the time.
I know.
I'm a homebody too, and like the grind just as you get older, it changes.
Yeah.
When I was like, I almost quit comedy before I got AGT
Really?
because it's not like fully. I would have still done it, but not trying to make it a career.
Got it.
Because I started in my early 20s. When
Mhm.
you're in your early 20s and you're a starving artist, it's sexy as hell.
Oh, you'll
You're
do
like,
anything.
Look at this guy. He's just going for it. He sleeps in his car because he's so passionate. I was 36 when I got AGT.
Yeah.
When you're 36, still sleeping in your car,
Different
like doing
vibe,
all that,
dude.
people are just like, this is fucking sad.
Well, I also do like at the store. I used to remember I'd just drink until like I'd do my set, the belly room, then I'd go downstairs and I'd mingle as long as I could. And I'd be drinking, and then like till the bar closed, and you still want to hang out with people, and then you'd go somewhere else to hang out. And I'm like 4:00 in the morning rolling home, and I'm like, I'm in bed by 9:30.
Yeah.
If I have a show that's over at 9, I'm in bed at 9:30.
Yep. That's just the move. And perspective changes, and it's not to get like too deeper and philosophical. It's why I never fully believe that people can't change.
Oh, I've never believed that.
Because like it sometimes just takes something and kids is a big one that changes your perspective.
Yeah. And if it doesn't change your perspective, think
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing
I,
you're
I I
doing it
had
wrong.
a roommate in college who love her to death. She was disgusting.
Mhm.
Just the most irresponsible. Like Indiana, middle of winter, 2 feet of snow on the ground. We had ants because she was so filthy that the ants risked their life. They were like, this is too good to pass up. She kind of unexpectedly got pregnant a little sooner than she wanted to. She is the best mother I've ever seen in my life. One of the most responsible human beings I've ever seen. Sometimes you just
Wow.
need that thing.
To click.
And I could probably say I'm the same way.
Yeah.
You know, I was a scumbag who's worrying too much about ticket sales and just like
Mhm.
staying up till 4 in the morning
Yeah.
and sleep until noon and then just working on. And now it's just like, I just want to see my boy.
That's
Like
it.
and I'll figure
That's
out if
it. I
I'll work at Trader
know.
Joe's. I don't care.
I
Like,
feel the same way, and there's no shame about it. I don't care where I work. I'm just like,
yeah, and I just want to
yeah,
be home. I want to hang out with my
same,
buddy. He's
same.
cool as hell.
I'm like, I just want to do drop off and pick up, man. I want to
Yep.
be able to do drop off. I didn't have parents that could do it. I was raised by a
Yep.
single mom, and so like she could maybe do drop off, but like I walked home by myself when I was 6 years old, and it was a long, long walk that I would never let my kid walk now. And that was in the 80s when we were
Right.
getting kidnapped all the
Yeah.
time.
We just had no one cared.
No one
You know,
cared. We were milk
let us
carton
make
babies.
another one. Who cares?
This is another one. And so I'm like, oh, I just don't want that for her. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So normally in the show, we say, like, what was the medicine that you took to get better? But it almost sounds like you went through medicine and the payoff was AGT and your wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's because it's hard to explain because like I don't feel, and maybe it's a little not what you're looking for the sound bite.
No. That's
You
fine.
know, but there wasn't like a one thing I did
Yeah.
where it's like
It's never a one thing,
you know,
by the way.
I found God. I went to church one day and this happened, you know, or
Yeah.
whatever. It was just more, and like I said, it was a long journey. It's not like my wife and I broke up the first time.
Right.
And then I went right to therapy, and
Yeah.
it was years of that fucking bitch. She did this to me. And, you know,
Yeah.
but in your head, you like with perspective and life, you realize,
Yeah.
no, actually, I'm the fucking bitch.
Right.
You know, she had her part too, but I wasn't exact. It's not like I was the innocent angel who
Yeah.
had nothing wrong with him, and
There's
she
the
stomped on me.
accountability for the parts we can own. Yeah.
And I feel that's the hardest part about getting better.
Yeah.
It's admitting when you were a piece of shit too.
Right. Yeah.
Because like I do think it's important to acknowledge when other people hurt you,
Yeah.
so that you can communicate that you hurt me.
Right.
But you also have to know, hey, I also made your life really difficult with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And that I think was the biggest 10. That was like the 10-year.
That's okay.
That was like the 10-year struggle of that.
Right.
Because it was you know, it was being mad at her and all women that
Yeah.
you won't date me because I have a disability.
Yeah.
I'm sure for some that might be true.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not pleasant to be around right
Yeah.
now, you know?
Ooh,
So
okay.
it's like, yeah, somebody would look over the disability, but I hate myself and I hate being alive and I am just miserable all the time.
Right.
So you have to like fix yourself too. I know it's like a big cliche, but no one will love you if you can't even find anything to like about yourself.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what the 10 years was. It was fighting. You know, having that spite in comedy, I think really helped me. I think spite can be a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
Because it was, you know, I had situations where bookers, like I would do a showcase and get a literal standing ovation. And then I would talk to the booker afterwards and be like, so can I get some dates? We don't really think that this is what we're looking for here.
They would say it.
Because they think that you're a gimmick. If you have a disability, clearly you're not actually funny. People just feel bad for you. And I would think that bookers would understand that better. Like, how long have you been actually doing comedy?
Comedy in general,
Yeah.
probably 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah. Stand up 10.
So you would know that even if you have something that's a little unique about you,
Yeah.
that gets you 5 minutes at most.
Right.
Where you know, I can admit that my arms, sometimes the crowd will go, okay, this is different.
Right.
I'm going to pay attention.
Right.
Do you think anyone's going to fake laugh for an hour because they
No.
feel bad for you?
No.
People are not that nice.
No.
They just aren't.
No.
So when people would say that, oh, they just feel bad for him. No, that's not how it
Yeah.
works. Because if you don't have the chops to back it up,
It's so
nobody
true.
wants to sit around for an hour and be miserable
Yeah.
listening to bad comedy.
Yeah.
You still got to be good.
Yeah.
And I would take that spite where it's like, you might not like that I talk about my disability, but I just got a standing fucking ovation.
Right.
They liked it. So
Yeah.
what's the problem?
Yeah.
We just don't want
Well, and
these
as a
kind-
booker, it's like, it's a business for them.
Yeah.
Fucking book. Like,
Yeah. I never understood. So, but I would use that. That was like the fuel that I used to be like, well, fuck you then. I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah.
And, it took me a little bit, but it made it happen.
Got it.
Because funny's funny, like you don't have to think I'm funny, but I'm not a gimmick,
Right.
because people do think I'm funny.
Yeah. I mean, you're
You
hilarious.
might not,
You're hilarious.
but so.
What would you say is the funniest lesson that you learned?
Oh, man, that just like patience, which is so hard to learn because like I'm such an impatient guy, but like sometimes that's what you need,
right?
And it's the irony of my wife and I, when we were first getting back together, so this is like 2020. We would have these talks about like, oh man, we wasted so much time, and like you have this thought of like, oh man, why didn't we just stay together? We could have had 4 kids and had all this stuff and have a house and all that. But the funny part to me is like, had we stayed together, we would have murdered each other.
Right.
There's not a chance.
It would have been a completely different marriage.
Hell,
yeah.
That we wouldn't have done it, And then like, I never tried to be that guy, but like, we wouldn't have our son. We wouldn't know any better. We wouldn't know the difference. You maybe have something else, but like everything kind of happens how it is. And that's the most fucking frustrating thing. Yeah. I think in the world to me. Yeah. Because like, man, my wife does not understand how I do this. So if she wants to make a decision, like right now, we're in a weeks-long struggle trying to decide what washer and dryer we want to buy because she won't make like she really needs to like mull over the decision, and she's checking
research
stats and all that.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just like, that one.
Yeah.
A lot of the. Yeah. How much research did you do? 30 seconds. I saw one. Bring it in the house. And so like, that was a really hard, like that sometimes she's right. Right. But that's the best way to do it. And I guess the funniest thing is like, you're not always fucking right. Yeah. And your methods are not always right.
Yeah. You gotta be open to other people.
Because everything that I have now, I needed that 10 years to happen. Dude, or everything like I would have never got better. Yeah. I would have my career never would have went where it went, because at the time, my wife's super supportive of my career now. But at the time, you're supposed to get a real job. You work at Target. You're doing open. Why you have to go to these open mics? Yeah. Why aren't you hanging out with me instead? You know the grind. You have to do this bullshit. She wasn't in a place to accept you had to do that. And I would have been like, okay, honey. And I never would have done.
Stayed home.
So everything works out like it should, as frustrating as that is.
Yeah. And as long as it takes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, man. That's
Thank
awesome.
you
so what's coming up for you down the pipeline? And where can people follow you?
So you can follow me. CrippleThreat.com is the website.
Good.
Cripple Threat 8 on all the social media, because there was 7 before me, but I've risen to power.
There was 7 before you?
There actually was 1. So the reason I picked Cripple Threat 8, the real story, Cripple Threat was going to be the pro wrestling name.
Okay.
8's my favorite number.
Great.
There wasn't too much behind it.
Great.
When I did AGT, they have a little bit of say in this. I'm glad that they recognize that I'm kind of owning the word, because cripple's not exactly the most PC way that you're supposed to, casually. So when you have to kind of get that approved by AGT, because they put like at Cripple Threat 8 on the screen. Shit. So like theoretically, a couple of my friends who were on the show, they had to tweak their screen names a little bit. And I was worried they were going to have to. They were like, no, since you call yourself the Cripple Threat, like we can keep it.
Thank God, because it's such good marketing.
When my audition aired, somebody sent me a DM on Instagram, and it was Cripple Threat, just the person who was Cripple Threat. And he was like, look, I don't give a fuck about AGT, but I guess you did pretty well, because I'm getting a ton of messages right now. So I've been sending them your way, man. Congratulations. So we kind of became buddies.
I love that.
His name's Chad. He's a good guy.
Hi, Chad.
He's a professional poker player. Like he plays like online poker. He's in a wheelchair. So it was one of those kind of like small things. But like the real story was just Cripple Threat was taken when I originally tried to sign up for stuff. Right. So then it just became 8. That's my favorite number. Great. I always add 8 to things.
Great. So, I love that.
So you can find me on there. I'm on tour. Buy tickets. Yeah. Please. That's the hardest thing in the world for us to do right now.
I know.
Just buy tickets. And I have my own podcast called The Cafeteria, which I do with Johnny LaQuasto. Okay. Who I've known since a month after I started comedy.
Oh, wow.
He's an LA guy. used to work for WWE. Actually, he was a NXT announcer.
Oh
He was a
shit.
pro wrestling announcer.
Okay.
So we've been bonded over wrestling stuff forever. He does a bunch of voice acting. He just picked up a character on Genshin Impact, which if you know anything
Oh
about video
God.
games, is a huge deal.
My husband will know. Yeah.
And then my buddy I know from Indiana, Brent Terhune, who's a big viral guy. Most people don't know his actual name, but he is the big redheaded. So he does the redneck y'all love to hate.
Oh yeah.
And he does like that. So yeah, you 100% know him. He does like the truck rants in his Prius.
Yes.
And they're pro conservative, but they're actually anti-conservative, you know?
Yeah.
So it's my buddy Brent. When I lived in Indy, we lived 1.5 miles away from each other. He's one of the nicest, funniest dudes ever. So it's called The Cafeteria. It's about absolutely nothing, and we love it. And then, yeah, like I said, just follow me on everything. Cripple Threat 8.
Great.
And yeah, my
Awesome.
special is on Amazon Prime and Tubi as well.
And what's it called?
Unarmed and Dangerous.
It's so good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Nicole.
my God,
Appreciate
it's so
you.
great. All right, guys, you can follow me at Nicole Birch Comedy on all the socials, NicoleComedy.com. And then, of course, at The Funny Thing Is podcast. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.